How are you doing? How are you doing? How are you doing? This question drives me up the wall. I'm going to assume it does the same for you if you are someone who is grieving and just wishing that anyone would recognize that you are not doing great. I'm from the South, and we talk to everybody. When you go to the grocery store, the cashier is going to ask, "How are you today?" When you run into anyone, anywhere you go, in the post office, in the grocery store, everywhere you go, people make eye contact and people say, "How are you?" I live in a really small town where everybody knows my business. And if I go anywhere, I am always assured I will run into someone that I know. And what we say as being polite Southerners is, "How are you? It's so good to see you. How are you doing?" For a long time, I would answer that question with, "I'm here." Or, depending on the person, I would just immediately ask, "How are you?" I want to first say, whatever you do to answer this question is fine. You are not wrong in any way that you answer this question that works for you. When you're just trying to get by, when you're just trying to get out of a situation, when you run into someone and you just want the conversation to end, say what you got to say and get out of there. We are in survival. But I also wanted to answer this question in a way that felt better than just ignoring it or saying I'm just here or whatever came out of my mouth, or even if I didn't say anything. I wanted to find something better, and I wanted to do it in a way that wasn't rude or hurtful, because there have been times when someone asked how I was in the sweetest, sweetest voice, and as I was hugging them, I said, "I'm dead inside. Thanks for asking." I might still say that. It depends on the person. In my work with a life coach who has had more grief than one man should ever bear, we were in a group setting and someone mentioned this phrase. There's an author named Sandy Fox, an author of Open to Hope, and she wrote a book, Creating a New Normal After the Death of a Child. So Sandy Fox suggested, when someone says, "How are you doing?" you respond with, "I'm doing the best I can." And when I heard that, the first time I heard that, I was like, that's what I want to say. I practiced it in my head over and over. It feels like the best thing I can say most of the time, depending on the people that I'm running into. But just for a reality check, I'm going to tell you the story of a time that I tried to say it and it didn't come out right. I mentioned that I live in a very small town. In this small town, we have a very small grocery store. And I had run into the store one Sunday afternoon to grab a couple of things. I didn't grab a buggy because I only wanted a couple of things and wound up having my arms full of stuff. As I turn a corner, I see a friend, someone I've known for many years, someone whose child was a friend of my child who died. She's doing the same thing. Her arms are full of stuff and she's very quickly running towards the front of the store. And although I always try to prepare myself for what I'm going to say, because I know that at any moment I'm going to run into somebody, and that is my life, like this constant state of anxiety and awareness that others don't understand. I turn the corner and there she is, and in her sweet, sweet voice, she says, "How are you doing?" And I think I'm going to say, "I'm doing the best I can." But what comes out is, "We're making the best of it." What? And she says, "Oh, that's good. That's so good." And she walks away, and I stand there, now shaking and on the edge of tears, because that's not what I meant to say. And I'm torn between letting it go or chasing her down. I'm imagining myself chasing her down to say, "That's not what I meant to say. Please don't misunderstand me. How could I possibly be making the best of this?" There's no making the best of this. There's just surviving. And now I've given you the impression that things are great, that you could bury your little girl and you'll be fine. Hello, welcome to my mind. I have since beat myself up so many times over saying this. I have not run into her since then, and I have finally come to the conclusion that when I see her again, I'm not going to correct what I said because she doesn't remember that conversation. I guarantee you, she doesn't remember what she said. She doesn't remember what I said. She's not thinking of me that closely, that critically, right? This is in my head. This is my fear and my anxiety and my concern. My point is, I'm doing the best I can. You're doing the best you can. I'm trying to remember when someone asks, how are you doing? That I say, I'm doing the best I can. If I can manage to say that the way that I want to say that, it opens the door for someone who actually cares to pause and potentially deepen the conversation. And for the 99.9% of the rest of the people, it checks that box. You were polite, you spoke to someone you know, and you went on about your day. While I hate these interactions with a burning passion, I still have to endure them. So I'm grateful to Susan Fox for having shared this phrase that has worked for her. And although it's not 100% effective, although I don't say it right 100% of the time, it has been a very helpful tool for me to get through the day. I hope this was helpful for you too. I have so many things I want to share, so many things I want to talk about, and yet my brain is just a jumble. And I'm trying really hard to make videos regularly covering all of these topics. And I know it's going to take a long time, and I'm determined. So if you want to stick around and allow me to help you on your journey as I navigate my journey with grief, I would be honored if you would subscribe, if you would comment and let me know what else you want me to talk about. What are you struggling with that you really could use some support around and would like for me to make a video about? If there's someone else that you think could benefit from this, share it with them. I want to reach as many people as possible, grieving people and others, so that we can change the way that society treats grief and those who are grieving, so that we can comfort each other, so that we can heal together. I love y'all so much. I'll talk to you soon. Bye, y'all.